Hey guys, JD here. Today we're going to be doing a little critique of the UI in Far Cry 3 on the PC. The reason I decided I wanted to do this critique was because I felt the game was really excellent, but the UI felt lackluster and out of place and really sloppy and just something that kind of fought with the experience of the game in many different aspects. So I took it upon myself as a fellow UI game artist to break down what went wrong with this and maybe come up with some ideas that would help bring the UI up to par with the excellent gameplay, graphics, and other elements. So let's get started. First off, we have our main screen here that you come up to whenever you first open the game on the PC version after the logo splash appears. Immediately, we have this very strange menu arrangement. You see on a lot of resumes where a person has categories over on the left side, title, previous jobs on the left, and then the detailed information on the right. But here, it's really odd because unlike a resume, this column has absolutely really nothing to do with this one. Immediately, I don't like the way this is arranged. This sort of stuff looks like advertising. And if anywhere you're going to put this kind of thing on there, it needs to be in the bottom corner because it's not the main point here. Sort of like the name here is in the corner. So on to the actual game. First of all, I want to compliment the game on most of its actual in-game UI. If you take a look at the radar at the bottom left there, it instantly changes based on your current position, and markers are always apparent as to what they are for. Everything communicates really quickly, and I do have a couple little issues. The radio tower, for instance, that's one that I've already captured, and there's really no reason for me to ever go back to that, so I don't know why they would put that on there. I think only radio towers that I haven't captured should appear there. Sort of like how they do, I think, in Assassin's Creed, if I'm not mistaken. You know, the Falcon points where you climb to the top of the tower, it expands your map, then it's no longer showing up. That's how it should be, because once you go there, there's no reason to go back ever again, unless you maybe want to go into the actual main map and look at that. Another quick note, the Jeep icon on the radar there, notice that it's white, which is fine to let me know a Jeep is sitting stationary, but there is no indicator to let me know if the person is driving a Jeep is a friendly person or a foe. It'd be nice to have it tagged in red for bad guys and green for good. I want to compliment also the health bar, the way it's done. You gain more of them as the game goes by. It's just to the left of the radar there. And even the armor is actually really smart the way they did it. It loops around the outside of the health, quickly giving the idea that yes, this goes around your body because the armor literally cocoons around the health bars. If you do take notice of the plus icon there to the bottom left of the radar, you can see that's a quick way to find out how many med packs you have left, which is nice, but I am disappointed because this game has many different things that you can craft, sorts of different potions that basically make you more powerful as far as your hunting abilities, your ability to survive fire, and all sorts of things like that. And there's no indicator on the main UI that lets you know how many of those you have left, which is disappointing. Which brings me to my next point. Syringes. Throughout the game, you learn various recipes through combinations of all the different types of leaves to make these various potions. As you can see, have various effects on them. Hunter's Instinct, for example, the one I have on here, allows me to see animals based on their scent, even through walls. To be able to use each of these, you have to go into this menu and pick it out, and then make sure you have enough stuff for it, craft it here, by double-clicking, and then assign to a slot or use. You only can choose 2 slots, but you can't choose them while you're playing the game. You have to come to this menu to do it. You can change them up whenever you want, pretty much, but again, it takes you way out of the gameplay to go and do this. I still don't see why there wasn't something where you held down a button like you do for changing your weapons, and that would allow you to switch whatever syringe you're wanting to use. It's a little silly, honestly. Speaking of which, kudos for the simple interface for this. It shows the weapon in white, shows attachments in blue on top of the weapons. All of which brings me to another point. All these weapons customizations here you see. There's a sight that's on the bow, the sight on this is extended, there's a silencer on it, magazine extended as well. Can you guess where I would go to adjust these modifications? If you guessed anywhere while you're walking around and not buying things, you'd be wrong. The only place you can actually adjust your weapons mods is to go into a place where you buy the weapons, and then you have to go into the actual weapon menu and then go down here to customize, and here's where you actually attach and detach different pieces and buy them and equip them. That's right, you do your equipping at the shop. I don't understand why this is set up like this, because Crysis solved this issue back in 2007 by having an in-game real-time modification system where the character would hold the gun up and you'd be able to have them switch the site that's on it, all sorts of things like that. To me, having this sort of archaic system not only is a perfect illustration of a poor sense of UI design, but also either a lack of recognizing successful UI direction, or worse, a disinterest in taking note from games that did it best and then trying to improve upon that. This level of UX execution is like someone making a first-person shooter 3 years after Halo was released, using the Halo engine no less, in which they didn't have strafing mapped to one of the dual sticks, maybe making you pull the triggers to turn left and right or step side to side. Another quick small annoyance, sniper rifles. Instead of just fading away the tooltip that shows you how to zoom in and hold your breath and everything, it keeps it there and it does it every time, as if you don't learn after using it 1,000 times in the game. So let's actually talk about some of the menus that are used within the game. You've seen the main menu from when you actually start game, continue game, that kind of thing, but these pop up when you go to places where the UI won't be able to be part of the actual scene. The opposite of what it's like in Dead Space. Dead Space makes sure that all of its UI always stays within the world. One of my favorite games as far as UI goes. If you hadn't played that game, any UI artist, go check that out. Very innovative stuff going on there. Anyway, back to this game. So the way the menus in Far Cry 3's actual gameplay work are like this. You go to something and interact with it by pressing whatever key you have assigned, in this case E, and it takes you to a menu pretty much like most of the other menus in the game. The weird, transparent, reflective storybook thing into madness. My first problem with this screen, I know we're showing off our cool models here and everything for the ammo and the different guns and such. It takes a minute to load those, which is a little annoying, and much rather have even just a quick render or something than it to take long. I have a very, very fast system, and if it's taking this long on mine, I wonder how bad it is on other people's systems. One of the things you have to do a lot in this game is refill your ammo. You go through it constantly. You blast through the heavy armor guys with whatever upgraded shotgun. It takes 4 or 5 blasts. One thing that is nice is actually when you do get to this one screen here, you can hit refill inventory and pop-up shows up, and notice my cursor actually jumped to the point there to let me just hit OK and do that. And it only lets you buy as much as you can afford. If you don't have enough, then it just goes, hey, you don't have enough. So anyway, so let's go back to this other screen. My main problem really is that everything, if I want to do anything in this, I can't do anything from this actual screen. I have to go into another menu to do anything here. And I've already gone, whenever I hit E, I already came to this menu. And it's obvious I want to interact with weapon stuff. So much screen space could be used for this. Also, it's a little unclear at first what the $sign here on the right means. It looks like it's part of the first button design, but upon closer examining, then you can discover that it's actually the place where you click to sell your extra item. So here is my biggest beef with this whole game's user interface. Why don't we have stacks? For those of you who aren't sure what I mean by stacks, meaning instead of 1, 2, 3, whatever, how many, 2 leaves of this kind and 3 leaves of this kind, it just has 1 leaf here and then a ×2, and for this one it'd be ×3, and this would be ×2, and tiger skins would be times however many tiger skins I have. And that way, instead of having all these panels here for just one thing each, I have one panel for each item and then a multiplier showing me very quickly how many I have left. I think maybe someone here must have played Resident Evil 4 and thought, oh, the way they do their inventory management is sort of like ours. No. Any Resident Evil fan will tell you how the overall inventory management system actually integrates into the gameplay experience. In Far Cry 3, you just have to manage the number of skins and things like that you carry, whereas in Resident Evil, you actually have to manage everything, including the guns. Big guns are harder to fit into a pack, so you have to choose if you want a bunch of small guns with lots of room for ammo, healing items, body armor, and all sorts of other things, or just your rocket launcher and a few rockets. Here, it doesn't matter. Tiger skin takes just as much space as a, leaf, apparently. Another strange thing is that it shows you right here how many spaces you have in your rucksack, so there's no point to having all these wasted space panels here. Come to think of it, the last time I played a game that visually represented how many items you had left without using stacks was Earthbound on the Super Nintendo. And this is okay for a role-playing game made in 1994, but for a PC game that's made literally 20 years later, not so much. Another thing, I think I spoke about the font already about this, the deblocking effect. I really don't like how they stuck that in the icons here. It makes it look like there's a problem. Like, I thought maybe I had to reinstall my game when I first saw this because they look like compression artifacts or JPEG deblocking. There is one nice thing about this menu, and they have it here. It's the quick sell. What quick sell does is it basically looks through anything that can't be used for crafting and allows you to sell all of it at once. This is all unusable loot. Crafting stuff will be kept. Okay. But the problem is there's no other way to sell any of the crafting objects efficiently. If I have 50 red leaves and I don't want to keep all of them, or amber leaves I guess in this case, I can't click it and then have an option pops up to sell or have a contextual menu or right click or anything like that. I have to go here and I think double click on it. See, you notice there's not even a sell button around here. I just have to double click it. Now that's okay as a shortcut for a power user who understands how to use things, but there should be something that says sell or whatever here, or like I said, a pop-up contextual thing. Here's the really annoying thing. Again, if I have 50 of these leaves and I'm wanting to sell all of them, I have to do this. Sell that one, go to this one, sell that one, okay, sell that one. On every one of them. How annoying is that? Why not have, again, the stack system? You click something, pops up maybe another menu. It didn't have to be a full overlay like this, but a small menu that pops up over it, and even their arrow system to change how many you're wanting to sell immediately. And you've automatically got a much better experience for the user. No repetitive, annoying. You make your user a little more excited about getting the money instead of upset about having to go through the stupid menu thing. Really quickly, this brings up another point about an issue I had, icon consistency. If you notice, these animals and things that you skin in the game, they match the actual skins in the loot rucksacks. You saw that the leopard matches the leopard there for the iconography. However, you know what doesn't at all? The leaves. So for one thing, every single one of these leaves is supposedly supposed to be a different color. And I know we're looking for consistency as far as having everything be white in the UI here, but why not have color for these things? I mean, they're sorted by color. They're not called a maple leaf, they're just called a color basically. I mean, fancy wall painting color, like crimson instead of red and amber is instead of yellow, but except for white, white's just white, it's not ivory or anything. But if you look at the mini-map, down at the bottom left there, you see that that green leaf over there is showing up on the mini-map as green, and the other one's listed here as yellow, and the white one's showing up as white, and they're all the same exact shape, and they're just a simple color. Why not carry that over into the actual loot rucksack? I mean, what's wrong with that? Last real quick thing, this is more probably user experience even more than UI, but it's something that really annoyed me a little bit, and I'm sure a lot of people in a crazy situation probably thought the same thing. Why not have a contextual system for this? I don't want to pick up this gun, I want to loot this guy's body. And it's highlighted here, and I'm pointing my cursor at it. Why not have it switch to base what I'm looking at and when I'm close to both objects to making it contextual as to what I want to do? I found myself many times accidentally picking up a crappy gun with no mods on it instead of looting the body because I wasn't in the right spot for the game in some deep jungle grass to pick the stuff up. I do appreciate the fact that they make bodies that are not looted yet glow and the ones that do not have already been looted. Anyway, this is really the last thing I wanted to say. This really is a great game. It's very fantastic. Definitely check it out if you can. I recommend getting it on a PC if you have a decent system. You'll really get to show off bells and whistles and stuff. It's not quite up to par with like Crysis 2 or anything, or Battlefield 3, but it uses the same engine sort of as Crysis, and it's pretty impressive. But now I'll leave you with one last little fun non-UI related thing that I really enjoy. It's the flamethrower and the dynamic jungle that is flammable. So yeah, without further ado, here we go. And I've set myself on fire. This is why this game is awesome though. If you take a look here, the fire is actually spreading and destroying everything around it. So you can run up on a guy's base, an enemy base, and just flambe every one of them just by setting blaze to a certain area. It eventually dies off, but anyway. Fantastic game, like I said. Make sure you pick it up. Ubisoft UI guys from there, if you're curious, you know, this was my feedback for UI on it. Anyway, have a great day, guys. Talk to you later.